This is John Walton, and you're listening to the Power Play Point podcast with the Blue Liner on point and Anna Knox. Here's Wilson, and on the right side, he
Rebound loose, wild scramble in front, score! Ovechkin with a buzzer beater! It'll count!
And a hat trick tonight, number 21,
Hello, welcome once again to the Power Play Point podcast. This is your host, the Blue Liner on Point, talking to you live to tape from downtown Glen Burnie, Maryland. Sun setting on another Sunday evening. It's just after 5 here, Sunday, February the 26th. And February's coming to a close. And for the Caps, it's coming to close with a loud thud. If you just saw the game today. The Mermaid will not be with us this episode. She had a family obligation to take care of, so she will be out for this episode. And with us this week to help us close out of Black History Month is a gentleman who was on with us last Black History Month, and hopefully he's familiar to all of you who follow the page and listen to that episode at least, but follow the page. He is I like to call him the fashion plate of the Washington Capitals. He has a great collection of jerseys, hats, you name it. And if you want a good seat in Capital One Arena, he's also your man. We've also plugged his business, HRL Couriers and HLR Couriers, sorry. So let me just get him out there because I know he's anxious to talk. It is the loquacious one, Lorenzo Robinson.
Well, that's a true statement. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. That is definitely a true statement, the loquacious one.
So how you doing this evening?
I'm all right. Dealing with the loss and, getting used to this whole new thing and getting ready with this trade. With the trade that I'm pretty sure is going to happen this week. More trades I'm expecting to come. Yeah.
And the trade deadline is coming up pretty quick here. It's March the 3rd, so that will be, if I'm not mistaken, that'll be Friday, I believe.
Today is March the 3rd. You're right. You're 100% correct.
March the 3rd, yeah, that will be this coming Friday. So, 3 p.m. Eastern to be exact is the last minute that any trade will be accepted. So, that's going to be a very interesting day. I'm kicking around an idea in my head during the week of having something maybe on Facebook Live or some special episode or some sort of live episode where people can call in or send a chat message or something where we, before the deadline, where we talk about what kind of moves the Caps ought to be making. So if anybody's interested in that, give me a shout on Messenger or the Facebook page or my personal email, glhallowed@yahoo.com. That's GLH plus the word allowed at yahoo.com, my personal email. You want to possibly get in on that. 4 games this week. Let's go ahead and get right on into it. First game was the let me get my stuff together here. Okay, so the first game since our last broadcast was last Tuesday against Detroit. I was kind of hoping, since we were kind of even with them in the standing, I was kind of hoping for pretty good effort in this game. Not to be. They lost 3-1. Only one that got the goal for us was Tom Wilson. That's going to be a recurring theme.
Yep.
And 27 shots on goal. We outshot them. 1 for 3 on the power play. Not too bad. I guess it wasn't a bad game, although they kind of didn't get going until the third if you look at the shot count.
Right.
But they were just down 2-1 in the first period. Nothing happening in the second. Just one of those games where they couldn't get going, and and Detroit's a good enough team. They're challenging for that last playoff spot, obviously. So I don't know. It just one of those games where they couldn't get going. They gave up a late goal to seal it, and that was just it. Typical of a Capitals loss this year, unfortunately. And that's just how it went. And nothing else to say about it. I mean, you can't really explain what happened. They just woke up too late. They weren't into it enough, and the other team took advantage, and the scoring drought continued at least up through this game. So
yeah, I mean it's been, like you said, it's been that kind of season for the Caps. Basically, either they start fast, finish slow, or either they start slow, finish fast, but then get win here and the loss there. I mean, having Wilson back has been great for the Caps. I really thought, to be honest with you, if you go back to when they brought Nicholas Backstrom and Tom Wilson back, I really thought that was a big mistake, because I'm of the belief that those guys were out for so long. Especially, they shouldn't have been able to just come right back and start right in the lineup like that. I really just thought that. I know they needed a jolt, but I really thought that was a big problem for them, because when they started jostling the lineup and switching the lines, I think it took away from the Caps' momentum, because if you look back, the Caps were winning. They had a nice momentum. The lines were starting to gel together, get used to each other, and then all of a sudden, boom, they insert, Baxter and Wilson. Then they go into a losing pattern. They may have won here, but they would start losing again. I just think that it was just too fast. And yes, now it's good because Tom Wilson is seeming to find his legs again. He's definitely active again in the games. I mean, you can just see his performance each game. He was getting better. He's getting more, acquainted again to being back on the ice. So I mean, but otherwise, I just think the team is just. It seems like, to be honest with you, before it seemed like the team was starting to gel, but then they fell back into what I call the Ovechkin trap. Meaning when Alex Ovechkin is playing, it's the old-fashioned, hey, watch him shoot, because they're getting caught in his record and him trying to catch up to Wayne Gretzky, which is not going to happen anytime soon. But the point is, I just felt like they were just not focused on winning so much. That's just how I felt, even in that game. I mean, you got Jacob Verana, who came back. It's good to see him back after everything he's been going through, since being traded to Detroit, and being injured and everything. I still believe that it was a bad trade, Anthony Mantha for him. I really do believe that. That's just my opinion. A lot of people won't agree, but that's just how I feel.
Yeah. No, Dwayne Thomas, who was on last week, kind of raised a similar point. And I think what it was kind of like what you said just now. I don't know if it was them coming back versus the team didn't have the right plan for them to come back, because, like you said, they had they were gelling, they had the right chemistry, they were rolling, they had a great December. They were doing okay in January, and then they were brought back. I just don't think they had the right plan for bringing them back. They should have maybe brought them back maybe more gradually, maybe let them play on the special teams more, less 5-on-5 minutes. But yeah, I think whatever plan they had, or lack of, is probably more accurate, kind of wrecked it. And we talked about that last week, and I think that's one of the things you can point to as to when they started playing a lot worse, at the end of January and all of this month, with their losing streak. And it's I don't think it was just that, but I think that was a key factor. And that's going to be very interesting to look back at. One of the very interesting things to look back at once, if they miss the playoffs. And surprisingly enough, after losing 6 straight games, they're still actually in the playoff hunt, though in the wrong side of it. But they're still actually looking at a playoff spot, believe it or not, even after today's loss. But let's hop over to, all right. What we've been doing this year is focusing on one game. Since it was 3 losses and 1 win, I'm not going to do that because we don't have a lot of time in those 4 games. But if there is a game I'm going to focus on, it's this one, the one against the Ducks. I'm not going to lie. I was when this one was over, I was really, really disappointed because the Ducks are the worst team in the league.
Right, bottom feeder.
They are the ultimate bottom feeder. They give up more shots, more goals than anybody else in the league. And while I didn't think this would be an easy win, I thought this was definitely a game they should have won.
True.
And when they scored the first goal, when Oshie got that first goal in the power play, it looked like they were on the way to winning. They were dominating. They got double-digit shots in each period. That's what you want to see. And then, they fell behind. Well, they didn't fall behind, but they played the seesaw match in the second period. And then I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened in the third, but they just seemed like they just stopped playing their game, and they just let this one get away. I do not think the Ducks did anything special to win this game. They let this game get away, and they shouldn't have. This could have been 2 points that they had in the standings, and they let it get away. And you can say all you want about the offense drying up because Carlson's gone and all that, and that all that is true. But you still had a golden opportunity against a team that gives up a lot of shots, a lot of goals, and all you had to do was take the opportunity, make the most of it. And okay, John Gibson, okay, so he had a good game. I'll give you that too. But even so, you make the most of the opportunities you're given, and they just didn't do it. Sometimes you just got to get it done. They didn't get it done. And there's no 2 ways about it. And I was, I cannot describe the disappointment I felt because this was a game they could have had. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. So
the game they should have won. I thought they were going to win it, but then I was doing my usual comment because John and I usually go to the game with me. We usually talk back and banter back and forth on Messenger. I mean, excuse me, not Messenger, on text messages during the game sometimes about this and that. And I always say, to me, I call it a trap game. I always call those a trap game. That was a trap game. Even though people don't like me to use that term, I use that term because, just like you said, they're games that they should have won. There's no reason they should have lost that game. And they ended up doing what they did, lose the game. It just happens. And then they pay the price. Now everybody may talk about all the stuff that went on, this and that, things like that. I mean, yes, I think the trade had a lot to do with the momentum and everything, but they got their butts beat, just plain and simple. They got beat by a bottom feeder that they shouldn't have lost to. And then that's
Yeah, and I doubt. Okay, so it's the 26th of February. So if you're listening to this, it'll probably be after that. So I doubt you wouldn't know what we're talking about when we mention the trade. But the trade we're talking about is earlier that day. Dmitry Orlov and Garnet Hathaway were traded for several draft picks and a forward, Craig Smith from the Boston Bruins. And and if anything, that trade should have served as a wake-up call to them that, hey, look, doesn't matter what you've done in the past. This can happen to you. If you want to stay, then show us something. And there just was not enough of it.
Right.
And when you got to depend on, I love Nick Jensen, but when you got to depend on Nick Jensen for your offense, Nick Jensen, you got to rely on him to pull you even in a game against the worst team in the league. Something is very, very wrong.
Yeah, that was funny.
And that's, I loved him. I love the way he scored that goal, but if he's got to bail you out, then something is extremely wrong with your offense. And it just showed in this game. And I looked at that and I thought, okay, they're done. I won't lie. I looked at that loss and in my heart, I knew that this team is done. And look, that doesn't mean I'm going to stop supporting this team. But if I'm being realistic, this team's chances of making the playoffs and maybe even doing some damage, let's be realistic. That it's not looking good right now.
No. Yeah, I agree with you. I really think the trade really knocked everybody off their feet, because it was shocking. Even when it was posted, everybody was quite surprised by it. I was surprised by the players that was traded. I wasn't surprised that the Caps were going to be doing trades. I originally made a comment a month ago. I told John, and he still laughs. I said I think the person they were going to trade first, I really thought is going to be Eller. I still think Eller's getting traded. In my mind, I think Lars Eller is going to be the next trade. Originally I said Anthony Mantha and Lars Eller, which I still think Mantha might get traded, because he really doesn't fit the Caps. He's good at fighting, but not good at playing hockey. That's what I got to say. He just seems to be more concerned about getting in a fight than playing hockey. Granted, he was starting to play hustle a little bit before he got injured the other night. But the point is, like I said, I just think the trade really knocked him off, and I think, yeah, Dave, you're right. What you said, yes, this is a wake-up call. It can happen to to this player, it can happen to you, which in some cases is getting ready to happen. But I think the Caps, I truly don't believe that they're going to make the playoffs. I'm not giving up on them. I just don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to win games, but when it comes down to the final, because I think after today is 20 games now officially, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think their record is. I don't see them going, a big winning margin out of these last 20 games. I see them maybe. Be honest with you, I'll be honest. I'm gonna laugh. You might laugh at me when I say this. I see them losing between 10 and 13 out to 20, depending on what happens the rest of this trade deadline. I think the biggest mistake about the trade was, which didn't make sense to me, was Caps is an old team. We both know that. We saw the graphic they posted yesterday during the Rangers game saying that the Caps were the oldest team at 30.9 years of age per player. And I'm thinking, yep, that's only Caps. They got rid of Garnet Hathaway and they got rid of Dmitry Orlov, and they bring in I think he's 33. I think Craig Smith is 33.
Yep, he's 33.
Yeah, they bring in a 33-year-old. Wait a second. That to me, that comes across as a fire sale. If I'm a fan like I am, that doesn't come across as somebody trying to retool and rebuild. It's like, hey, you guys, my players are for sale. Pick what you want. We'll make a deal with you. That's what I see. So that to me is going to take away from. I think that's going to take away from the Caps' motivation to get back to winning, to concentrate on winning. Because as soon as another trade happens, I really think it's going to be more detrimental than it be beneficial to the Caps. That's just how I feel about that.
Yeah, I think you're right, and not to. Well, okay, so that 33-year-old, he's a free agent at the end of the year, so I would be very surprised if he sticks with the team. But you're right. If that's all they could get as far as a body back in the trade besides the draft picks.
Right.
And by the way, one of the draft picks is a number 1 in this year's draft, this coming draft.
Right.
So more on that in a little bit, but one of those they got 3 draft picks plus Smith in return. But yeah, if that was the only live body they could get in return, yeah, that kind of smacks of we'll take whatever you can give us along with these draft picks, because we're not really keen on trying to finish the season. We're trying to build for the future. Right. And that kind of, that's the vibe I got from that trade. And that's go ahead.
I agree. No, go ahead. I agree with you.
Yeah, and that's kind of how the Caps played in this game, and it definitely affected them. Now, which is funny because you move on to the very next game, which was yesterday, at home against the Caps, against the Rangers rather, nationally televised.
Yeah.
And they play the best hockey they played in 2.5 weeks.
Right.
And
right, you're 100% right.
And I love what I saw, but at the same time, I'm thinking, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one, where has this team been?
Helter skelter.
And I mean, there's only one reason I can think of why you're getting this kind of. You're right. I can't put it any other way. Helter skelter, disarray, inconsistent performance, and it's because they don't know where they're at. They don't know where they're going. They don't know what direction they're going in.
Right. I mean, it felt like, okay, this is the second game since Ovi returned, and all of a sudden they came out. I was like, wow. I was sitting there. I was telling Johnson, man, I can't believe this. Look at this, man. They're just popping and everything. Bam. I mean, they were hustling. They were out hustling. I mean, they were motivated. You could see all that. And like I said, I don't know if the motivation yesterday was more about, hey, worrying about was the next trade, or was it really, really worrying about not having this seventh loss, things like that. I don't, even though they were home, because they don't have the best home record this year, I didn't know if that's what that was about. But it was just they just woke up because it was a good team that they have a rivalry with. But I mean, if they played the way they played yesterday, aside from the Sunday's game, if they play like that the rest of this season, then they'll look like a team going in the playoffs. Now, I'm not gonna say they could go far, but they'll look like they'll be a playoff team, because yesterday they looked like a team that were world beaters. Because the fact is, they beat a much better opponent, even with the return of Ovechkin, who didn't even score. It was a TJ Oshie show. And like I said, it just that they came out. It seemed like they came out to play yesterday. They really came out to play, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I kind of missed the fact that I wasn't at the game. But it's okay. I mean, I had a better seat now, so to speak. But it was really impressive yesterday the way they looked. You got Kuzi, Oshie. I mean, everybody was getting into the game. The old Wilson looked like he showed back up. It was good. And the young players that they have, I mean, they have a group of young players, that who seem to be enthusiastic, and want to play. But at the same time, I seem like in some games they're being held back. It's like these guys are helter skelter. One minute like Dylan Strome. Oh my God, I like his game. I mean, the kid plays, and then next thing you know, he goes in a little drought. Of course, today we know what happened today. But I'm just saying, he goes in a drought, and he plays well. He's always a threat to score. You got Irwin, another one. Gustafson. They all really hustle and play hockey. I really think they had a good group of players. But like I said, I think the trade hurt them. But I ain't gonna blame the trade, because yesterday trade had nothing to do with it. They were just trying to win. I think mainly because they didn't want to get beat again. And they were losing streak, which they did.
Yeah, and so you had all that going on in that game, and then you got to today, and well, I mean, for the first 20 minutes anyway, they had some fight to them.
Oh yeah.
And then the second period showed up, and what I don't know, it was like whatever happened in that intermission, everything from yesterday went out the window.
Yeah.
And
right.
It's like they just stopped playing. They just I don't want to say they quit, but they just forgot. They forgot who they were playing against. They forgot how to play defense for sure.
Yeah, I think they ran out of steam.
And yeah, I mean, it's a back-to-back, and I mean, they don't do well on back-to-backs, nope. And it is, and it isn't an excuse. I mean, every team has to go through it, but you can look at it and say, yeah, I mean, that's it. You got that as a strike against you going in the game, but you still got to play. And they, like I said, they were okay the first 20 minutes, and then second period came by and the wheels fell off, and then Ovechkin scored. Finally scored. And I don't think he played that badly in the Rangers game either. He managed 2 assists. Everybody was clicking in that game, but he finally scored in today's game against Buffalo, and I figured, okay, might get a comeback here, and that still kind of died off, and there was just no And Milano scored right after him, and you're thinking, okay, well, they got a shot here if they can come out in the third period, and it just didn't happen. Right. And this game, the one against Buffalo, well, okay, so two things here. The defense needs an overhaul, and that's going to happen regardless, because we've mentioned this before. There's only one defenseman under contract at the end of this season, John Carlson.
Right.
Everybody else is a free agent.
Right.
So a lot of those guys are probably either going to get traded, and if they're not going to get traded before the deadline, I'm banking on a lot of those guys not getting signed.
I think number one, I agree with you. I think they're going to really have to go younger, or they need to get rid of Brian McClellan, because they keep bringing old players. They keep getting old players, and I said they're only going to work for so long. And like I said, their legs going to go out from under them like it's happening. That's truly what I see happening today too. I see an old team. Yeah, they had a big game, but they had the big high yesterday, and then today, of course, they had the big letdown. With the second period. And I just saw a team that, like you said, you don't want to say they quit, but point is they ran out of gas, and I just saw that. They both teams were turning the puck back and forth. I mean, it really wasn't a great defensive game or nothing like that. They both were just turning the puck over, and everybody kept talking about Kemper shouldn't have, he should have been given the day off. No, Charlie Lindgren. I always believe in my mind. People may not like me saying this. I believe Charlie Lindgren is a better goalie than Kemper. I think he's more fundamentally sound. Yeah, Kemper has his moments. I'm not a fan of Kemper. I'm not gonna lie to you. I really thought the Caps, truthfully, be honest with you, I really thought the Caps should have kept Samsonov and Vanacek. I think they should have kept both of them, and just had a better goalie coach to work with them. But that's okay, because both of them are flourishing on other teams, which is not abnormal with Caps players. They go other places and do well. But like you said, I really believe that when this season is said and done, the Caps must get younger and build their speed. I mean, they have, like I said, Milano's a great player for them. Strome is a good player. I mean, I can go through the little thing. A.B.O. Bell, I can't pronounce his name right. He's not bad. I mean, they have some players that think. My biggest thing is I can't figure out why Snively is not there anymore. I mean, he comes back. Here's a guy they said that wasn't doing well when he's playing down in Hershey. He comes back, he gets in the game, scores a goal, and gets an assist right away. And then the next thing you know, the Stadium Series comes, the guy disappears. You don't see the guy. And then now you haven't seen him since. And I'm just thinking, is that something to do with contract, or was that just a coach's decision? Because I always thought that he was a good because he had a lot of energy. Him and Sherry, I always put them two in the same boat because they hustle a little bit. Those two like to hustle when they play, And I just think that the Caps don't have to figure out what to do. And I can tell everybody, I have no problem saying it. I'm not the biggest OV fan. Yeah, I like Ovechkin, but I'm not the biggest fan. And my thing is he has a no-trade clause in his contract. But the only thing I see OV doing right now, because he's not going to be on a team if the players are not at his level. You know what I mean? He don't want to be on an uncompetitive team. He wants to be on a team that's competitive. And if they do any type of trade that doesn't benefit them the rest of the season, I wonder what he's going to do next season. Because, for me, his ultimate goal is he's already got the Stanley Cup. Yeah, another one would be nice, but I don't see that happening right now with this current Caps formation of teammates. I see the guy looking to get his record. And, if he gets his record, I just don't see it. I just don't see him being that team player when you got a bunch of young players coming in next season, and if they don't gel well, they could be a bottom team next year. And it's just I just don't see it. And like I said, the day was first period looked great. Second period, that was it. And then after that, it looked like they were going to try to make it a game in the third period. And then, like I said, it just the way it was. It was just I just think they ran out of gas, and I think it's because their age is starting to show. And that's not an excuse, but that's just a true fact. Because now they're going to get a couple of days off, and then they go back and play Anaheim again.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen? We can't. Yeah. They could be well rested now. They could be well rested again. So if they lose, we're going to have a different answer. They shouldn't lose, but who knows?
Yeah, and that's going to be the last game before the trade deadline. So that's how the team reacts, how management reacts. That's going to be very interesting, especially if they lose that one. But yeah, I mean, they obviously they got to get a lot younger. But I wouldn't put this. Well, not all on management, and management's obviously responsible for the way the team is built, and it is ridiculous that you only got one defenseman under contract.
Right.
That's ridiculous. That's just there are no two ways about it. That's just really shitty planning.
Right. You're right. You're 100% right. I never really. Truth is, I never even really knew that. I really didn't know that until you said that.
Yeah.
That's bad on my part. I mean, here I'm a guy that follows the game, but when it comes down to analytics and stuff, the part about the game, the statistics, that information I lack sometimes. I'm just
not everybody. We don't expect everybody to be PhDs on the game here. We all got that's why I love doing this show. We all got our own point of view. We all got our own set of skills and knowledge to bring to the game. So I don't expect everybody to know everything, but yeah, I mean that's when I found that out. That blew my mind. That how do you let yourself plan for just that kind of a thing where you're going to have practically no defense except for one guy that's over 30 years old, 33 years old, and his best days are behind him, and makes probably too much money.
Yeah, you got to tell me. I always call I thought of Carlson as he at least give you 2 mistakes a game. I'm sorry, that's just how I got to say it. He used to usually give you 2 mistakes because the one thing I always dislike about John Carlson when he plays is his crazy way of doing his, I call it the blind pass, you know what I mean? Where he always takes the puck. It seems like he's doing something. He always do a no-look pass that always goes against the team, always. And that's my honest opinion. And I think you're right. I think it's going to be weird because with him coming back from this injury, whenever that day may come when he actually returns, if he comes back this season, I just think it's going to be weird for them because, like I said, it just Nick Jensen and him play well together, but like I said, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I don't see. I'll be surprised they keep Nick Jensen. I'll be surprised, but I really am expecting some crazy trades here between now and Wednesday. I'm expecting at least 2 crazy trades.
I would be very surprised if they don't do anything at the trade deadline. But now to play devil's advocate for a second, I mean it's kind of obvious that with Carlson gone, there's not a whole lot of gas in the tank as far as their offense. I'll give him that. He does do that very well. But you're right. He's prone to being a liability.
Right.
Too much of one in my opinion. And that contract that they signed him to was a big mistake. And I was talking to Mrs. Blue Liner about this, and it might have been why they lost Orlov. Because as she put it, well, okay, so Orlov basically they were trying to sign him, they couldn't sign him. The word was negotiations were real far apart because he wanted a longer contract than the Caps were willing to give him, which they were right to do. But at the same time, you see another guy on your team get an 8-year contract. Right. You're thinking, okay, well, you know what? I think I've been playing well enough to deserve some security too. How about you give me that? Right. And so I don't think Orlov was, not within his rights to ask for something like that. But obviously the team wasn't going to, they weren't going to give him to that. So if you look at it, Carlson getting that long contract in the first place was a huge mistake. And I think, unfortunately, that was the first domino that started all this. Because I think right there, they started right after they won the cup. They should have started thinking long term, and they didn't. And they're paying the price for it now.
Right, and yeah, I think. I mean, I guess there wasn't nowhere getting caught, maybe reaching John to see if he's willing to restructure for them to be able to re-sign Orlov. I didn't know that far into it, but yeah, I really thought Dmitry Orlov still should have been a Capital. I really thought. I truthfully believe he has a better shot than Ovechkin. I truly believe it. I believe his shot is harder, and I believe he has a better shot than Ovechkin because whenever he shoots, and when I see him, when I'm sitting in that Cap One Arena and I see him shoot, I always believe that most of his shots going in. That's just how I feel, because when he shoots, it's a totally difference. I mean, he was, to me, he was more than just a defensive player. He could also, just like Carlson, he could bring the puck down the ice, you know what I mean? There was no doubt about it. He knows how to move the puck. To me, he was like an offensive defensive player. He was somebody bona fide that the Caps really should have kept. Garnett, I believe they should have kept. That's just me. Because I believe that, hey, he knew how to bring the fire to the team at times. But, I mean, like I said, I don't control that. I think the biggest issue with the Caps and their things this season is I call it the line washing. Too much line changes. Every game it was always a different line. Yeah, we know about the injuries. I'm not going to use that as an excuse. But when you got the guys gelling together, then all of a sudden you bring somebody back and then you change the line again and you change the line again. Like today, they lost. Now, do they really need to tweak the lines because they lost? No. I mean, you got the same players. I mean, yeah, if you tweak the line, I mean, you use the line that you had yesterday against Anaheim coming up on Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday. Then, and you win, then what you going to do? Use the same line? You're going to change the line again. See, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's helter-skelter. I mean, Coach Favre, he changes the lines. Okay, we lost it. We're going to change the line. No, just let them fight through it a little bit. Let them fight through a little bit of adversity. Adversity. Just let them fight through it. You don't need to keep doing the line change every game because they lost that game. I mean, to me, that's just who it is. I mean, like now I'm trying to figure out what's going on with Johansson. He's saying, non-COVID illness. I'm thinking, okay, what illness do you got?
Yeah, no, that's what I was getting at. My problem is, even though management, they got some part to play in this, they got their share of the blame. But I mean, honestly, yeah, injuries aside, I think a lot of what has gone wrong with the team this year is the coaching. And we've talked about it before. The line blender, just like you said, the line blender hasn't helped. No chemistry. If you don't know who you're going to be working with, then how do you get any chemistry? And it's Laviolette's decision to run the hell out of the old guys as long and hard as he can, and you see what's happening with that. And that's why you don't see Snively or I don't like to run down players.
Right.
Even Carlson, I'll give him his due. I get one guy right now who's getting ice time. I don't know why the hell he's getting any ice time right now. Matt Irwin. Why is he on the ice? I don't get it. I do not get that.
Because they ain't got nobody else to put on there.
That's not true. They got two young guys who I think are ready to go. Alexeyev and Johansson from Hershey. I think they're ready to step in and play that last pairing minute. Okay. And the season's just about lost. Why not see what one of these guys or both of these guys, what you got with them? They're ready to go. They're in their 20s. They got good legs. They're playing pretty good, right. Or they were in Hershey when they were getting time there. But now they're getting not. Well, Alexeyev is. He's not getting a whole lot of time. He's just sitting in the press box. And in his place, you're putting in a 34-year-old defenseman who has a decent shot but won't use it, doesn't know how to move the puck, can't play along the boards, can't do anything right defensively. He was a -3 in this game, and he was one of maybe 2 or 3 minus players against the Rangers, if you can believe that.
Right.
The guy doesn't add anything. You got a potential stud waiting to step in who's younger, faster, and better, and you don't play him. And that's just one example. Him and Snively are just 2 examples this year of Laviolette refusing to play younger guys. Yeah, they're not going to get more than, 10, 15 minutes a night, but that's why they're there, to spell off the older guys, spell off your number 1 and 2 guys. All right? Get them in there, play energy minutes, but Laviolette won't do it.
Right. I would love to see a fast cap team. This is a fast cap lineup. No, I mean, let the old guys take a break, so to speak. This puts like you said, see what they all can do. Put the whole young team and the young players all in there, all of them, and let the old guys come off the bench for it once. I don't care, Ovi, whoever, let him come off the bench. He don't have to start. In my book, he don't have to start. And I have no problem saying it. We know a lot of people don't like to talk like that about Mr. Ovechkin, but I will.
Well, there's going to come a time, and I'm going to say it right now. There's going to come a time where Ovechkin is going to have to, be content with second line minutes. And right now, I would say Backstrom, do not give him more than third line minutes. Right now, until I wouldn't say he's been playing bad, but I wouldn't say he's been able to keep up either. Right. So, you got two centers that are better, at least on paper.
Right.
Don't give him more, put him on the power play if you want, but don't let Backstrom play more than 10 to 14 minutes a night, because I don't think you're going to end up keeping him fresh if you do that. I promised a good friend of yours, Cheryl Ann Forster, C4.
C4.
I would mention this. She was on the drive. She's actually at the game with a friend of ours, Marcus Lemley Clarence. They went to the Buffalo game together, and is actually his quote. I'm gonna quote him right now. This is about Matt Irwin. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not enjoy a Caps hockey game when Matt Irwin is on the ice. End quote.
Oh, that ain't right.
No, and I happen to agree with him, because, like I said, just now, I do not know why he is on the ice when you got a guy who's itching to get a chance and probably can do better. And yeah, he's going to make rookie mistakes, but you give him the time so he can make those mistakes and get that out of his system.
Right.
And if the season's lost, what are you losing? You're not going to make the playoffs probably. What are you losing by playing him? Nothing.
Right, and that's what I heard about Laverette. They said that he likes to, because I remember what I'm trying to remember what game it was, but he's kind of sat Kuzi down when Kuzi only played 10 minutes the whole game or something like that. I'm trying to remember the game. I think it was a game. I don't know if it was the Stadium Series or before. I remember they said that he likes to give lessons. If you mess up, he likes to send you a message during the game, not like after the game. Because I'm just saying, I wonder if somebody's being punished for something that they did in practice or a prior game, and that's why Irwin is in there. But the point is, you're right about what you're right about just saying. I try to see the players and see how they perform. I mean, it's been a different year for me than normally would be, but from the games I've watched pretty much most of the games, and some games I wasn't able to watch due to work or whatever. But but no, I mean, like you said, the same thing C4 said, because she was one of them telling me we ran into each other earlier this week up in Frederick. She was telling me about the favorite word you guys like to use, the line blender. So my thing is this, is like what you said. I just want to see them, like you said, put all the young players in. I mean, literally put them all in. Let all the old players watch. I mean, there's no rule to say less is in this contract. There's no rule to say Ovechkin must start or so-and-so must start on top line, because their top line is what? Ovechkin, Kuzi, and Wilson. Okay? And then you got Oshie with Sonny Milano and I think Strome on that line. But I would love to see all the young players go, because another player who I think, to be honest with you, you may laugh when I say it too, that could be a potential trade. People don't like to hear me say that, is TJ Oshie. I have my thoughts. My thought about TJ Oshie, and I'll share it with you and everybody else. I always say this about TJ Oshie. If TJ Oshie, I really truly believe in his contract, he has some kind of family leave plan set up in his contract. And the reason I say that is, if you look at his history, and I'm just using this as an example, every time the holiday season comes around between Thanksgiving and Christmas, TJ Oshie has usually been injured, okay? And usually don't come back until after the first of the year, okay? And that's just my honest opinion, because I really think he has a clause in his contract, because every time I see him, when it's that time of year comes, he's usually injured, and then he doesn't come back till after the holidays. But then you see him and doing promos and stuff, and you see him places, you think, wait a second, this guy's supposed to be injured. He's out there doing this and that, I think he's another one possibility on the trading block. Even though people may laugh and say, oh, they ain't going to do that. They won't trade TJ Oshie. TJ Oshie is a good motivator. He's good. He's a good team player and all that. I like TJ Oshie. But like I said, there's nothing that says he can't be replaced. And I think you have to look at it. I mean, TJ was quiet for a while. Now he's waking up and finding his game again. Yesterday, Gordie Howe day yesterday for him. But I'm just saying to you, scoring today. But I mean, it's like I said, I'm wondering if they're really going to seriously look at trying to bring a whole bunch of youthful players that are good. I mean, like everybody talked about the draft pick, how you were talking about this as number one. I made a comment the other day. I said, to me, it don't matter what the draft picks are. That's the here and now. you're trying to say that because they're going to automatically get a number one and they're going to get a third round or whatever, they're going to be better? No, it's no guarantee. You bring Smith in, like I said, you bring the old guy in, to plug the hole that you just created by getting rid of Dmitry Orlov and, Garner Hathaway. And then, if I'm not mistaken, this guy Smith used to play for Laverette and something like that. I thought I heard today.
He did.
Okay, in Nashville, right? Something, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
But, so my thing is, he didn't bring a player that's going to benefit the team. He brought a player that benefits him because he's more familiar with the player than his teammates are. We don't know if he's going to really give any dividends for the rest of the season. Like I said, I just think he was just there to plug a hole. Because to me, that didn't look like a smart trade. Yeah, you traded these two players, you got draft picks more so than the player. It just didn't seem like to me that was a smart move. It looked like it was one of them, pull the trigger quick type thing. Let's hurry and do this because we got to make it like we did something. I just think to me, I could see the trade happening after the game. I would have rather seen that instead of before the game because I do believe that had a lot to do with the team chemistry and emotional thing for them. You're getting rid of two players. You bring back Ovechkin. Boom! All of a sudden, the team gets rocked. Unexpectedly. Like I said, I want to see how this team plays coming up when they play Anaheim. I want to see how they play again. Are they going to play this? Are they going to play the same way they played at home? Or are they going to come out on fire? But like I said, to me, everything hinges on what happens before Wednesday. To me, because if there's no trades before Wednesday, then the team won't be able to say, "Oh my God, we weren't expecting this, and now we got to play." See, that's what I'm expecting to be a trade. I don't know who it's going to be. I'm still standing by my Eller thought. I'm thinking Mantha won't get traded because he's still on injury until he come off injury. To make sure he's healthy. I think the trade deadline is going to be Eller, Mantha, and who else I was thinking? Who was also on top of my mind? It could be your guy Irwin, but but I don't see if he has any value. So, but I think Eller has a lot of value to the Caps. He's one of the last ones remaining from when they win the Stanley Cup, one of the last few. And I think there's 5 or 6 left. But anyway, I think he's a possible trade because he's got value. And then I don't see them getting rid of Sherry, but that's a possibility. So I would go with my top 3 possible trades right now would be Eller, Sherry, Mantha, and my long shot trade. Laugh at me if you want to. TJ Oshie.
Well, so we're speaking of guys that are eligible and guys that are not. I made mention of this to a couple of insiders in the group. And so Tarek El-Bashir of The Athletic, who covers the Caps and other metropolitan teams, well, mainly the Caps, but hockey in general at The Athletic. Well, you all know who he is. He used to write for the Post. And so he put out an article this week. Okay, so he said basically these are the trade tiers. In other words, 3 groups of players who have their own category of how available they are. So his first group he calls not available. And the names in that group are Nicholas Backstrom, John Carlson, Darcy Kemper, Charlie Lindgren, Ivan Miroshnichenko, that's a first-round draft pick that they got last year, Ovechkin, Strome, Tom Wilson, and they're both of the 2 first-round draft picks that they got for this year. So that's what he says is they're not available. Said don't ask because we're not sending them out. The middle tier, he calls it make it good. So these are the guys that McClellan probably doesn't want to trade, but if you make me a good offer I can't refuse, then they're available. All right?
Right.
So Alex Alexiev, Nick Dowd, Martin Faravari, Kuznetsov, Hendrix LaPierre, Connor McMichael, Sonny Milano, TJ Oshie, Alexei Protas, and Trevor Van Riemsdyk, TVR. He says so Tarek says those are the guys that, I don't want to trade them, but you make me a good offer and you can have them. But it's got to be a good offer.
Okay.
And here's his last group. And okay, so he calls this let's talk. So obviously these are the guys that these guys are probably as good as gone either by the trade deadline or off season. All right. So first name is Nicholas Obey-Kubel.
Okay.
Eller.
Mm-hmm.
Gustafson.
Right.
Matt Irwin. Nick Jensen.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Johansson. Mantha, and Sherry.
Okay. Wow.
So those are the guys Tarek is saying they're gone one way or the other, and most likely in a trade.
I didn't hear you mention TJ's name.
TJ was in the middle group. Make it good.
I missed that. So he's going to vote. I just think they should keep Gustafson. I think he's good.
I'd like to see Gustafson stay.
Right.
My worry about him is that he's already over 30.
Right.
So if he wants a long-term deal, if he's willing to take a deal that's 2 years or less and not that much money, then hometown discount, something like that, then I say go for it. But I just don't see that happening because he's had a pretty good year.
Yeah, I like the way he shoots. He doesn't look like he's afraid to shoot.
Yeah, he's got a good shot. He can move the puck pretty well. He was probably the best surprise because I didn't think he would get more than bottom line minutes. He's actually been running the power play. Probably not as good as Carlson, but he's still, without him, I mean, they would have next to nothing for offense.
Right.
So
right.
I'd like to see him stay, but it's got to make sense for the team. So I think he's well within his right since he's over 30 already to say, hey, look, I want at least a 3-year deal, and I want X amount of dollars per year.
Right.
And I just don't think the Caps are going to offer it to him.
I mean, like you said, if he's willing to take a 2-year deal for less money and stay around, it'd be worthwhile. But if he thinks he can go out on the market and get big money, I don't see that.
And I think he's definitely going to test the free agent market, and I don't blame him because this is his breakout year, and he's shown what he can do, and teams are going to want what he's got. So I don't blame him if he goes out and tests the market, and if he does, I almost guarantee he's going to get a good offer. So, it's going to sting, but yeah, I think he's as good as gone because of that. I would be very surprised unless it's one hell of an offer if he doesn't last the whole year. I think they'll keep him for the whole year. But as far as free agency, I can't see him re-signing because he's just going to get too good as far as money in term. So,
in light of what you just said about the players' vulnerabilities and where they fall in the lineup from the article, my thing is I'm wondering now, are these players going to perform? Because they got to showcase their talents if they hope to get any money on the free agent market. Are they going to really perform? Better than expected. With these last 20 games, are they going to just go through the motions? I mean, I like I said, I want to wait till the trade deadline, then I can see exactly where the Caps are. What I mean by that is I want to see what players that end up still keeping, as far as where the list goes, as far as, who can go first and make me an offer type thing or whatever. And then then that's going to tell me a lot because I mean, are they going to keep the Caps competitive? Question is, when you're sitting there watching the game and they tell you that there's 9 different, scouts from other teams there, at your game scouting players, that was shocking to hear the other night, And then all I kept thinking about was fire sale, now they're going to sell. I really did not think they were going to beat the Rangers yesterday. I think in some ways the win from the Rangers, it slowed the bleeding. I truly believe that. It slowed the bleeding because the fact is, I thought if they would have lost the Rangers game, there might have been a trade happening the day before Monday because but I thought they weren't. I really felt like because of yesterday being, the game that they were, honoring Smith Pelly and everything, the DSP, I thought they wouldn't do anything, and they did. Of course they did, and of course they win the game, which was great. But now, like I said, now comes the aftermath. What's going to happen between now and March the 3rd, Friday. And that's what I'm waiting really to see, because I want to see who they keep and who they actually try to move. Part of me thought they were going to try to move Johansson. I said this is why he got so-called an injury, but it was quick to specify it was non-COVID injury. And first I kept thinking, they get ready to trade somebody? Is that why they kept him out of the game? Because that's what I thought. I might be wrong, I might be right. Who knows? I just think that, like I said, they have to get more of a youthful team, and if it works via the draft, fine. But if you do any more trading the rest of the season, are you trading just to finish out the season? Or are you trading to do some things that's going to help the team, coming down the road? Because I don't want you taking a young player if you're really not going to keep him, past the season. I mean, I would love to see them go out there and get a player that's young, that they know that they can get, that can bring some value and actually can play for the Caps. Because, like I said, if they can really get a younger, faster team, I mean, speed, we know speed works. I mean, you can look at the Connor McDavids and all these other people, other players out there that, who got the speed and youth, and look at the difference. I mean, look at the way they play, the way their teams play. I mean, a lot of these teams are competitive. Every team is competitive, but my team, the Caps, we shouldn't be helter-skelter. They should be consistent. They should know what they got. They know the players. They know they can win. But the fact is, do you want to win? Are you just doing like a lot of teams do in other sports, when the season's coming towards the end, you're just trying to get through without getting injured and all that kind of stuff. That's the mindset. Yeah, we make the playoffs, fine. If we don't, it's no big deal. I mean, not me saying it. I'm just wondering if that's what the players are thinking. Because, you got 20 games left, and some are going to be like you said, some going to be out there trying to showcase their talent so they could try to get bigger deals elsewhere. Because we know a lot of them, the Caps are not going to resign a lot of them. At least I don't think they will. The question is, what's going to happen with the coach? I think he's another one on the top block. I think they need to do some changes there, because I think their coaching staff needs to overhaul, just like the players. Because I'm not saying Coach L should be the first to go, but we know that's how things go. I just think that some of these guys have been in for a while, and it's the same old thing, stagnant, same old thing. I mean, yeah, they improved from the days of, hey, let's get the puck to Ovechkin and we watch him score and we'll win. That mindset. Now they got other players who are not afraid to shoot, who don't go, well, I got to get the puck to Ovechkin first before I take a shot. See, that's what I like. There's some players on their team now who shoot first, and that's what it's all about. Because OV eventually, he's gonna be just like anybody else. He's already an old guy, he ain't gonna be able to keep logging those minutes. I don't care how much good shape he is, he's not. I mean, he's not gonna be able to. So I want to see what's gonna happen. And like I said, I'm not expecting a lot, but I just want to see how they go out in these last 20 games. After this, coming up with Anaheim, and then I think with other games they got. I think they got Anaheim. But who they got? I'm trying to remember.
Well, they're on a West Coast road trip right now. So their next few games. Go ahead and do previews of coming attractions now. So the next game is Wednesday, March the 1st against Anaheim. So
right.
last one before the trade deadline on the 3rd. They don't play again till after on that Saturday, the 4th,
right.
And that's against San Jose.
San Jose Sharks, yes. Yep,
that's 6:00 puck drop on that game, and then they finish their West Coast road trip in L.A. Against the Kings Monday night, the 6th. That's 10:30 game.
Right.
And then they come back home for a game against New Jersey.
On the 9th.
And then they go back on the road again to New York. Quick 2 games there against the Islanders on that next Saturday. And then again that next Tuesday against the Rangers. And then they come back home again. And then, they go through the rest. We're not going to go too deep, but they finish out March after that. So those are your next few games. A lot of them are going to be on the road.
Right.
And yeah, but that key, obviously, like you said, is going to be that Anaheim game, because it's the last one before the trade deadline. And if this team is in the right mindset, they're going to be thinking revenge. And so, yeah, this game, the way they should be playing it, they ought to be thinking, all right, we want to beat the crap out of these guys 10-2 if we can.
Right.
And that's how they should approach this game. They want to keep all their jobs. They don't want to get traded. That's how they should play it. But that's, we'll see. We'll see about that.
Right.
Now,
that performance, go ahead. You're right. Revenge is definitely what they should be looking for, because to be embarrassed at home like that, and then to go, if you lose to them on the road and you already lost them at home, That don't look good at all before the trade line. That don't look good at all. So there's no reason they should lose to Anaheim. And like you said, it should be a high scoring game for the Caps if they come out and play, because like you said, with revenge on their mind. But hopefully they don't get taken out of the game by trying to be physical. Because they play physical, but sometimes they get caught up in the physicality of the game, and where they end up thinking too much about trying to deliver that big hit, and next thing you know, the puck's sitting in their net.
Right.
That's the one thing. But we're going to see. I mean, like I said, I hope the rest of the season the Caps can find a way to make it to the playoffs. I mean, I'll be shocked if they make it, and I'll be shocked if they made it and go past the first round. I mean, it can happen, but I just don't. I mean, luckily they're not. Yeah, the point differential is not the problem for them right now. It's a matter of whether or not they can gel enough to win enough games to sneak in, because they can't keep losing with the other teams that they're behind winning. That's not going to work. Because they're going to get to a point where they're not going to be able to catch them.
Right.
We shall see. I mean, like I said, we shall see. I mean, my mind and thoughts go out right now, real quick, to John Walton and his family. That is such a tragic thing. When I put two and two together, once he said about the plane crash, and I remember reading about that crash, and I was like, oh my goodness. And then when they put the names together, I said, oh my God. So that was his brother. It's so sad and so crazy. Brother leaves this world with a wife and, if not mistaken, 3 daughters.
Yeah.
It's just sad for all the people involved. The patient who didn't make it, the companion that was with them, the flight nurse, the flight paramedic. I mean, like I said, hockey's hockey, and I have no problem talking about hockey. But that sits with me. And then yes, it's Black History Month, and I still have my own thoughts about the Capitals. I still don't think they do enough. I know, like I said, I don't want it to always be what it always seems to be. We bring you out for this one day, and then after that, you go away. That's just how I feel, because that's what I see. I don't see, as a fan, and then being a fan, a Cats fan of color, I don't see the effort that they should really make a bigger effort, not just during February, Black History Month. It should be the whole season long, stuff like that. I think to bring more people into the game, to the games. I mean, I think they could do a better job. I've done my best to do that, and I know I have. I've given away tickets to a lot of people who normally would never be able to see a hockey game, from all walks of life, and who just can't afford it, no matter whether it's a nosebleed seat or whether it's a VIP seat or wherever. But the point is, I think that's the biggest issue with the Caps. And to be honest with you, aside from my issue with them, other issues with them, that had a lot to do with me this season, because I listen to them talk, and when I hear Caps management, that I've come in contact with, and at the arena, and they say to me stuff that they say to me, I'm shocked, because I'm thinking, you can't tell me you got a group of people who work and serve people and do other things there at the arena, and you can't recognize them because you try to say that they were a different company. No, like I said, we as fans go to the game and we see this person of color working there, we see that as a Cap representative. I don't care what sport it is. We see them as a representative of that team. And to me, I think there's a lot more they can do to recognize people of color, that they have working for the organization in many forms. I mean, I know as a fan and I know as a VIP, I know their sales staff, and their sales staff is lacking people of color. It's lacking. I just think, as a person speaking during Black History Month and as a person of color, I think the Caps need to do a better job of that, because I've been to many other events and arenas, and I see a whole different mindset of trying to be inclusive. I said, don't use that word when you really don't really mean it. If you're going to use that word about being inclusive instead of exclusive, then let's do that. But I just think they need to do a better job. I mean, it was good with the Smith Pelly, and it's good to see the young man that the young man that was deaf, that OV gave the stick to. That was all fine and dandy. But I'm like, okay, if you can do that then, why can't you do it any other time? And that's just my thing. I mean, I appreciate what you do, Gil. As far as, like I said, we've had our discussion, and I know how you feel, and I respect everything about that. And I appreciate that you are giving the forum to people of color, not just in general, only during Black History Month, but every day. If they want to be a part of this show, they can. And I like this, because this podcast, to me, is very good. I didn't know much about podcasts at all until I started listening to your podcast. So I really appreciate it. You give me another opportunity to run my mouth like I always do.
No, and you know what, Lorenzo, I appreciate you, because without people like you telling that story, we don't know what it's like.
Right. Right.
We don't know. We're never going to know what it's like out there for people of color to we think, the rest of us, we think, it's what they call the ivory tower syndrome. The rest of us think, oh, everything's hunky dory. It's not, and you're right that the team could do more.
Right.
As far as making guests more comfortable and feel more welcome. And I tell you what, I'll agree with you as far as the sales staff. They're very, very lacking, because I got a call from one of them last summer.
Right.
And basically the conversation was, all right, we got these packages. What do you want? I mean, try to entice me. Give me a bargain. Give me a discount. Give me something. Don't just say, this is what we got. What do you want to buy? Like, okay, yeah, I'm a fan, but I mean, give me a reason to want to buy your product. I mean, I can watch the game on TV. Give me a reason other than I know what I'm going to get when I see it, to actually come to your, to your building. Ted Leonsis said when he first bought the team, he wanted two things. He wanted value and he wanted the fans' love. Well, I think he's getting his value, but
right.
He's got to work on that love.
Right, because, there's things, like I said, there's things going on that, I have no problem sharing this. I'm supposed to be doing a news article with a local reporter. I'm just still waiting to see if that's going to happen before the season ends or if I'm being stonewalled until after the season because of what I might say. The point is, like I said, I'm very disappointed in their sales staff because, unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff that people as fans don't realize is happening. You got people now, March comes up, this is a renewal month for all the season ticket holders. The prices are being increased already. I'm saying you're increasing prices on the fans, and you don't even know what team you're going to have next season. But you're increasing the prices. You've taken away a lot of the benefits that was given to season ticket holders, VIPs included. I mean, I experienced it, and I know there's things that have been taken from us. And I'll be honest with you, I've made a commitment to myself, and I told my friends I will not be a season ticket holder anymore for the Caps hockey team. I will not do it again. No matter what the outcome is with my situation, I still will not do it because I don't believe they have the fans' best interests at heart. And the shows and everything, because I've seen it. I mean, I lived it firsthand. I know it. I mean, so, as like I said, a lot of people can say I'm disgruntled, but no, I'm not disgruntled. I know what I had going on. I was a diehard Caps fan. I'm not as diehard as I was before. I've made a commitment that I got 140-something jerseys. No more jerseys. I had to do my own intervention. I got too many jerseys. I got boxes of jerseys I have not even ever worn, sitting here in front of me looking at me. And I made a commitment to myself. I got to stop that. I will be a Caps fan. Don't get me wrong. I'm just going to be one from afar. Yes, I will go to the games. Yes, I would buy tickets from here and there, but I will not be a season ticket holder because to me, there's no benefit in it right now. There really isn't. And I feel for the people who are renewing because some of them have been there 20-something years. I haven't been a season ticket holder that long. But the point is, some of them are renewing, and I'm like, hey, okay, you some people are only paying $12 more per ticket. Some people are paying $100 more. Some people are paying a lot more per ticket renewal. But I'm saying, what are you getting in return? See, you can't take the people's money, get them signed up, and once they do the renewal, like they did this season, current season, everybody paid the renewal, and then they started subtracting benefits from you. I mean, this silly stuff that people, this sounds silly. Down the VIP lounge, for example, there's no more canned beer. I used to get canned beer because I can't drink draft beer like that. So you don't have a choice down there now. Now you have to either drink draft beer or go out on the floor up on the concourse and buy canned beer at a higher price. And when I spoke to a Cap representative about it, he goes, well, it doesn't matter whether, the exact words, it doesn't matter whether or not you guys buy a beer down here or upstairs. Either way, we're still making money. That's what they said. And I was like, wow. And then, I had a little heated discussion, but I'm not going to all that. But the point is, like I said, they used to also have the soda station that they had down there. They took that out. Okay, they used to have a station on the Congress level for people who were a designated driver. They took that away. They took away things that not only that they were given to the season ticket and telling you this is the reason we were giving it to you. I mean, canned beer doesn't sound like a big deal. It is, but when you only got three things to choose from between Mick Ultra Draft, Bud Draft, and what's the other thing? The Vienna Lager thing like that. Or that's no choice. You know what I mean? Whereas when you had the beers, you had multiple selections that you could choose from. That was a much better thing. It's like, no, I said to me, I don't need that. And they said, why give this much money away? Because like he said, we don't have to give you guys. He said, we're giving you guys food. He said, that's the main thing. He said, because you're going to drink regardless, even if we didn't have food. He said, you guys are going to drink. And I was like, wow, man, you talk like that? So like I said, it was a discussion down there that everybody remembers that. Who was down there remembers that night when I had this discussion. And I've been trying to help a lot of the season ticket holders in the group that I'm in now, an official season ticket holder group, because there's a lot of people who don't get the great representation from the representative of the Cap sales staff. It's more about, it's not for them, it's more about the Cap staff. It's like, what have you done for me lately? Stuff like that. I mean, I really thought, like, here's another thing. You had DSP. I was supposed to go to the practice, on Friday, where he was there. And see, but they never mentioned that, hey, Devontae Smith-Pelly is going to be here at the practice facility at MedStar. They didn't even say that. I mean, they should have did that, because you could have got people who's never seen this guy. People of color would have came. If they would say, oh, I got a chance to meet a player that, a black hockey player that I've never, I never even knew he was a player. Not me. I'm just saying some people who've never been to the game. I mean, that's another way to bring a fan base. You could have created a whole new fan base. I mean, it's just called giving back, and I just don't truly believe the Capitals give back enough, and that's just my honest opinion. And like I said, I don't want people to think that I'm a disgruntled person, because I am a fan of color. And I like that Caps hockey team. I'm not a guy sitting there going, well, they ain't got no black players. Why do I? No, that has nothing to do with anything with me. Color only matters to me in certain things, and I don't mean it like in a sense like that. Color matters to me with my clothes, stuff like that, food, and things like that, and drinks. But when it comes to persons, I don't care what color you are. It's just what you bring to the table is what I'm concerned about. And I just don't think the Cap ownership staff and their sales staff do a good job of working to bring people of color to the game. They'll portray us when it's the time for them to portray a person of color, but not on an everyday basis. Only during Black History Month, we want you to recognize the people of color. No, you can't do that. You should be able to do that all season long. You do that all season long, you got a big old jumbotron there. You start doing that every game, something like that. Not just people, not just black. I'm talking Latino fans that you normally don't have, that you normally don't see that you see at the game, but you never really see them, because it's not always shown that way when I'm at the game. It's not that way. So if you make that more inclusive and use that jumbotron for better use than just once in a while to recognize somebody, it would go a long way with the fan base. You'll get more people coming to the game. I got a gentleman who I tried to get to do a podcast with you guys. He works here in Anne Arundel County. I met him, and this gentleman saw me with my hat on one day. I've known this gentleman. I've known of him 7 years. I would go to the landfill and see him. I actually gave him a jersey. About 3 weeks ago, I gave him one of my Caps jerseys. Just gave it to him. He said to me he watched hockey. He said he always watched hockey on TV and everything. He said he was scared to go. He's afraid to go to the arena because and I'll say exactly. Forgive me, this is podcast. He didn't know how the white people would treat him. I said to him, they ain't gonna treat you no different than the people you see every day you deal with. I said, he said he needed to learn more about the game. I said, well, tell you what. I said, you let me know when you're available, and I'll buy you and your wife a ticket to the game. And you can go meet the people, and you can see what I was telling you. There's a lot of genuine people there. You're not going to have to go through a whole lot of, oh, my God, why is he here type thing. No, I said, you ain't going to get that. You won't get that from the fans too much. You may have experiences sometimes with fans that come from other teams in the area, but usually I've only had that happen to me early on, talking 2015. Since then, I have had experience with color issues as dealing with the sales staff. And like I said, I wanted to see this gentleman come to the game. He was a fan for 4 years. And he said he would always follow the team. And he said he just never went to a game. And I'm thinking, wow, you only live 20 minutes from the arena and you never went to a game, because he said he was scared. And I said, wow, that's what I'm saying. There's things that need to be done, because there's a lot of people out there that watch this game that love it. I mean, I see people of color wearing Ovechkin jerseys, all these other jerseys out there, and most of them have never been to a game, I mean, you got to make it worthwhile. I just think the price is too high for a lot of people, and nobody should have to always sit up in 400 just to enjoy a hockey game. If you're gonna do that, you might as well stay home. That's my motto. And that's all.
I tell you what, Lorenzo, I'm glad you came on here and told us about all that and reminded us that, hey, it's all about the fan, because that's what we try to be all about. We're all about the fans, and not everything. We try to be positive, but let's face it, not everything is good. You want to see everything in a good light, but not every experience is good. So it's not like you said, it's not that you're disgruntled. You want to point out, we're trying to point out a wrong here that, this team that we love needs to right. And, it's not just, the makeup of the team, make them a winning team. It's the whole experience. You're going to the game. Yeah, they're not always going to win, but you want to have a good time while you're going to the game, and you're taking things away that take away from the experience. So you're taking away the value of these tickets that everybody's buying. You're supporting the team. You're getting our money, but you don't care about our love. That's the point we're making here. So it's not that we're all being disloyal fans. We don't. It's not a love it or leave it situation. We love it, but we're not going to leave it. We just want something fixed here, and that's the point that's being made here. So just anyone that's hearing this, it might be getting a little hot, saying we're disloyal, because this information is being put out there, this experience, this story is being told. That's not the case. We're telling the story because it needs to be told.
Right. I mean, it's a true fact. I mean, like I said, look, if you look at D.C., Washington, D.C., the population there, majority of the population is black and brown. Okay? They live within, I say most of them live within 20 minutes walk or whatever, train ride to the arena. Okay? To go see the sport. If you made that sport, if you made it more inclusive and more welcoming to people of color, you would have a bigger turnout than what they have. But the point is, like I said, I sat in that arena many times, and I've seen it when it comes to knocking the lights out for the prize, a giant gift card for these things. It's 90% of the time, it's predominantly somebody white. It's not. And it's funny because you have so many people at the game, but they're not trained. The promotion staff seem not to be trained to go look for someone else other than just this person. I mean, I've seen people who've been on the Jumbotron doing promotional events 2 or 3 times that I'm like, man, should it be somebody new? But like I said, it's like I said, it's not about disgruntled. It's about just trying to get to understand you got a fan base that you don't realize you have, and you're not monopolizing on that because the fact is you're not used to that. You don't know what they expect. And like I said, to me, this is the best month for me to talk about it because I'm honest. And anybody, like I say, anybody out there can say I'm disloyal. They don't know who they're talking to because I got a room I'm sitting in right now to show you how loyal I am. I mean, I have more swag in this room, and I'm not talking about this jerseys. I'm talking about things from me going to the game, stuff I collect, and I donate to the schools. I donate the swag towels to schools. There are people working at the arena, I can tell you without a doubt, who is like one of my friends. He's a teacher. He's on the security staff. He's a teacher. He's a teacher in Prince George's County. Do you realize that every game when I'm there, when they do giveaways, John, who has his little summer camp school, also, we go out here and collect these towels, everything. We take them home, wash them, whatever, and we donate it to the schools. And these kids go crazy over this stuff. I mean, literally go crazy, And I've got cards and stuff, an envelope full of cards where they all wrote telling me thank you that they never expected to see this, and they love to see that because here they see it. And they said it, and I won't be lying. They said here's a black man who's a business owner, and he's not full of himself. He's giving back to us. Okay, I don't live in their neighborhood, but I'm giving back to them, and I do it on a regular basis because I care. And what I'm giving them is not just something to give them. I'm giving them something of a team that I support, which I support 100%, the Washington Capitals. These kids may only know about the Washington Capitals name because they saw it in the newspaper or they saw it on TV or they just know Alex Ovechkin. But when you give them these little trinkets that means a lot to them, hey, you talking, those are future fans right there that you don't even realize that may be existing right there. And like I said, I always try to recognize everybody. I don't, like I said, I give to all schools, but I said mostly I've been given to the predominantly black schools in PG County because I was trying to increase the fan base and, get kids who don't know much about hockey but actually like it, to become a part of it. And it just, like I said, I have no problem. I like that, and I'm a true Capitals fan, true and true. But like I said, when the staff leaves a bad taste in my mouth, then I have to think about, what I do. I mean, I will still promote the team and I will still support the team. So if it makes me disgruntled, I'll be that guy. I have no problem being that guy. That's not what I want to be, but I don't want that because the people easy to cop out and say he's disgruntled or disloyal, so that means nothing, then so be it. But this podcast, I love this podcast because it does give the people, I don't care who it is, an opportunity to speak openly and honestly. Not, hey, we can't put this in. We got to cut this out. We can't say that. I like it because I can speak openly and honestly. Yes, I got a big mouth. Yes, I'm loquacious. but I wouldn't be Lorenzo if I wasn't. So you have it.
All right. That's why we love you. And that's, look, I can't say it enough. We try to be for the fans, and no two fans are alike. Everybody's got their own story.
Right.
Everybody listening, you on the other side, the speakers, earbuds, whatever, wherever you're listening, you got your own story. You want to come on, you can tell it. That was just one of hopefully hundreds of thousands. But if you are a Caps fan, I don't care if you started yesterday or 40 years ago, like me. I don't care. You got a voice, and you definitely got it here. And whether you agree with our takes, don't agree, doesn't matter. You're welcome to come on, tell your story, have your say. That's what we're about. And I hope to everybody who's listening that we just proved it. So we want to invite anybody and everybody. We got Women's History Month coming up. We're closing out Black History Month, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. Man, woman, black, white, any color. It doesn't matter. You want to come on and give your opinions about this team, or like Lorenzo, if you got a wrong that this team, has given an experience this team has given you that you don't agree with, talk about it. Tell us about it, because we love this team, but not everything they do is right. And if you disagree with something they do, you can talk about that too. We're not blind. So,
right.
All right. So Lorenzo, I do appreciate your coming on and talking to us and helping us close out Black History Month again. Thank you so much for all you do. And let's go ahead and close out the show. If you want, I'm going to let you give one last plug to your business, to our listeners out there.
All right, this is me, Lorenzo, again. Just want to say thank you, Gil. Thank you, guys, for letting me be a part of the PowerPoint podcast again. Basically, my business is HLR, Courier, and Shuttle. Years ago, I used to have the airport shuttle part. I closed that off way before COVID. When I did that when Uber and all them came into business. But I pretty much do legal documents. I do settlements. Things now are done by online, so a whole lot of driving is out the way. I still serve papers. I do e-commerce deliveries. I'm limited, but I'm actually expanding a little bit. So HLR Courier, if you need us, we'll take documents, packages, wherever you want us to go. We do it nationally here in Maryland area, DMV. We will go to Pennsylvania. We have no problem going further. I went further. I went on a plane delivering a package. We do it all. And I thank you guys for letting me be able to plug my business, HLR Courier and Shuttle. That's me, Lorenzo. I'm the owner. The H was for my ex-wife, Helga. The LR, you understand, that's me, Lorenzo Robinson. That's why it's HLR Courier and Shuttle. But I thank you, and I thank you, Gil. I thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to speak again. Like I said, I sometimes maybe seem like I went too far, but I'm not going to regret anything I say because I only speak the truth and how I feel. And I say thank you again.
All right, you're welcome. And like a lot of our fans, you got an open door. So thank you again for giving us your time. So, all right, that was Mr. Lorenzo Robinson. So, okay, fingers crossed. I believe in this team. There's a good chance they're going to make the playoffs, but I'm not optimistic. But we're not going to stop cheering for them. We're not going to stop covering them. It was somebody tried to spread a rumor that wanted to quit the podcast. I do this for a reason, and you just heard that reason. So we're going to keep going, and we're going to keep backing this team, and we're going to do all we can for you, the fan listening. So thank you very much for listening. So going to close out this show. This is the Blue Liner on Point for Lorenzo Robinson signing off and reminding you that if you ever thought of the age-old question, can trees poop? Well, the answer to that question is yes. How else do we get number 2 pencils?
Let's go, Caps.
Hallelujah, and let's go, Caps.
Let's go, Caps.
This has been another episode of the Power Play Point Podcast. All episodes are available from Apple Podcast, the Podbean app, blueliner77.podbean.com, and now available from Stitcher. Music by Joe McAllister, voiceover by Jeffrey Conkle.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Power Play Point Podcast. Thanks for listening.